Hello and welcome to the More Confidence with Luna Gaia podcast. I am your host, Lunaria Gaia, and here we talk all things body image, self-esteem, your thinking in your mind. How do you connect true to you in every part of who you are? I want you to know that all of you is welcome, so sit back and relax and listen to today's episode. Sending you love. Oh, hello, my beauties, and welcome to episode 132 of the podcast here. It is so wonderful to have you here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here and for being you. If you haven't shown yourself any gratitude to you and your existence today, I reckon now would be a really good time to do that. Gratitude really helps change my state in such a really big way. It's not what we're going to talk about on today's episode. We're actually going to be talking about why happiness and pleasure are not the same thing. And by chasing pleasure, when you think that you're chasing happiness, is actually making you less happy in the long run. But for now, why don't you just stop? Just go ahead and pause this episode. Set a timer for the next 35 seconds. It's not very long. It's 35 seconds. Just for the next 35 seconds. Just stop and see if you can list as many things as possible that you're grateful for about you, about your existence. This is something that I do with my clients a lot. It's called the gratitude game. And it depends on how advanced you are or where you are in your learning curve. If you're a beginner, 35 seconds is plenty. If you are kind of used to doing gratitude, I recommend you doing upwards of 3 to 5 minutes, even longer if you can. And literally, this is how I would do it. I would set the timer for whatever period of time you're going to choose and rattle off as fast as humanly possible. I'm so grateful for, or thank you for. I'm going to give you an example here. The example that I'm going to give you, you don't need to come up with the most amazing, fanciful, crazy things that you could possibly be grateful for. All that you're doing here is finding things to be grateful for. And you could be grateful for pretty well everything. So I'm going to show you how I roll this. Just so I press the timer. I've decided it's going to be 25 seconds and I press go. I say thank you so much for electricity because I get to have light inside of my house. I'm so grateful for air conditioning to keep my temperature cool. I'm really grateful for my fingernails because it helps me to scratch body parts. I'm grateful for my legs because they help me to move. I really love the fact that I have skin. That's a very useful thing. I'm really grateful for fluid and water, having it just be able to tap whenever I want to. I'm really grateful for this roof over my head. Thank you. I love the fact, and I'm really thank you so much for the fact that I can read and I have sight. Thank you for the internet. I'm super grateful for that. I'm really grateful to have plant life in my house. I'm grateful that I can have the world's education, of the entire world's information at my fingertips. So on and so forth. Notice there, I didn't really say big, huge things. For the most part, I literally just looked around the room. I looked around the room and I was grateful for my plants and books. I was grateful for the fact that I can read. I'm looking up at my vision board in front of me and I can see that I'm reading and I can read. A whole bunch of people can't do that. I have fingernails that can scratch. How good is it when you can have a bit of a scratch? How amazing are your legs? If you can stop just for a moment and have more gratitude for what you already have in your life, then life gets better because you're noticing what is already amazing. And there honestly is so much that is already amazing in your life if you just stop to notice it. Challenge for you for the next 30 days. Set a timer for 1 minute and play the gratitude game and see how your life changes. And there are going to be days, there are going to be times where that's super hard. You're going to sit there and think, nothing. I'm not grateful for anything. My kids are driving me through the walls. The house is a mess. My partner is an asshole. I don't have any money. My business isn't going the way that I want it to. Circumstances in your life might feel crappy. But I wonder if you can actually dig deep and find the things that you could be grateful for. Like, how good are eyelashes? Like, they stop stuff getting in your eye. That's amazing. You could be grateful for that, even when the world's going to shit around you. You can be grateful for breath. Because while you're breathing, you're alive. And maybe you don't want to be. Maybe you're having such a shitty day that it feels like crap. Screw breathing, right? But maybe you could be grateful for your teeth, to bite things. Maybe you can be grateful for your lips, to be able to kiss things or people. Maybe you can be grateful for the internet, for air, for the sunshine, for the rain, for grass, for carpet underneath your feet. You don't have to be grateful for big things. Just be grateful. And I think that that's a great challenge. I'd love for you to let me know how you go with that challenge. Could you, for the next 30 days, play the gratitude game? And if you already are familiar with playing the gratitude game or being grateful in some way, shape, or form, see if you can incrementally increase it. So just say for the first day, you do 15 seconds, and every day you add 10 seconds on top of that. By the time 30 days comes up, you've been in gratitude for several minutes. What a beautiful way to wake up, to go to bed. Keep increasing your gratitude. And this leads me to our conversation here for today, in today's episode, because there is a really big difference between pleasure and happiness. And people talk about wanting to be happy. People really deep down, more than anything, want to be happy. And yet we go about it the entirely wrong way. We chase pleasure thinking that we're going to get happiness. We think that if we get the car, if we get the job, if we have the career, the money, the partner, the body, if all the circumstances in our life go the way that we want them to, if we're in a good mood all the time, then we will have happiness. But it doesn't work that way. That's not what happiness is. You cannot cultivate happiness outside of you. Just the other day, I was sitting at the beach with a friend of mine, and I was traveling that day, and I said to my friend, well, I got to go. I've had a swim with you. Thank you for meeting me here. I got to go. I've got to do my piano and my Spanish before I hit the road to go traveling. And he says to me, today, you're going to do your daily practice of piano and Spanish today before you go. And I was like, yeah, I do it every day. And he reaches out across to me and is like, oh my God, give me some of that determination. Give me some of that motivation. Give it to me, right? And it was meant to be kind of a joke for him of like, oh my God, I wish I could be that motivated. And then what I turned around and said to him, I just poked at his belly. I said, it's there. That's where it is. It's inside of you. You can't take mine. I can't give you mine. It's not how it works. I can champion you. I can encourage you. I can motivate you. Sometimes motivation can be external in the sense that if I put a hot branding iron on your ass, you're likely to get up. That's motivation. But true lasting happiness is internal. It's inspiration. It comes from inside of you, inspired. So my friend said that to me about having some of mine, and I turned and said, it's already within you. He almost got a little bit disheartened. He knows. We're friends long enough for him to know exactly where motivation, inspiration, and happiness is. But isn't it easy to think that it's going to be out there? That if I get the right circumstances, if I can wake up in the right mood, then all of a sudden life will be happy, and it will always be happy. That if my body looks the way that I want it to, if I'm the number on the scale that I want it to be, or in my pant size, if I have the right partner, if I just get that job, if my career can go to that level, if I can just get that many followers or that many likes, if I can get the dream car, if I can just have that holiday, if I could just have that level of success, then I will be happy. But it doesn't work that way. Because what you're doing is pursuing pleasure, not happiness. And very often those two things can be on opposite ends of the spectrum. Because in the pursuit of pleasure, eventually, if you have a look at addiction, for example, and let's take drug addiction. Hopefully none of you have ever experienced that, but on some level, we've all experienced some level of addiction. I know for myself, I've been addicted to cigarettes or to drinking. I've been addicted to certainly my phone, to social media. these days. Back in the day, it was more addicted to my problems, addicted to eating, addicted to, self-destructive behaviors is what I was really good at being addicted to. And they'll often say that, if you're, let's take alcohol, for example. If you've never drunk alcohol before in your life, having one drink is going to make you go, whoo, you'll start to feel a little bit tipsy. I don't know if it's just here in Australia, but we would call it a Cadbury, which is a glass and a half, right? It's just a glass and a half, and you're already pissed. You're already tanked, right? But you're a lightweight. You don't need much to get you drunk. But if you start to consistently drink over a period of time, that one drink is barely going to even make you feel lightheaded. It's going to take 2 or 3 drinks in order for that to happen. And if you keep doing that over months or over years, 2 or 3 drinks is barely going to hit the sides. Maybe it's a bottle before you start feeling intoxicated. The more that you have it, the more that you need it in order to get that buzz. That's how it works with pleasure. Because one drink now is not enough. You're going to have more. Same with everything in our life, be that addictive behaviors like drugs, alcohol, gambling. We are looking for the dopamine hit. Once upon a time on my social medias, me getting a video that had 200 views and 3 comments was like, oh my God, wow, I see the notifications come up. That's exciting, right? Dopamine. The chemical, the happy chemical that kind of comes out of us, dopamine. I'm feeling it all lit up. Oh, wow, that's exciting. Do another video, do another video, do another video. And as time goes on, that initial video view of 400 isn't enough. Well, I want 1,000. And I get my first 1,000. I'm so excited. It's amazing. Then that's not enough. Do I get 2 or 3 or 5 or 10,000? I don't have a video. One of my reels on Facebook has close to 1 million views, 997,000 views. 3,000 to go, by the way, to get to 1 million is pretty crazy to get that close. But needless to say, now when I get videos of 10,000, it's cool, right? But I'm not getting the same dopamine hit than when I get when it hits hundreds of thousands. And it's true with everything because those things are pleasurable. One chocolate turns into 10 chocolates because it's pleasure. And the pleasure sensors within our being are sensitive. So we want more and more and more. And there is nothing wrong with pleasure. In fact, pleasure is amazing, right? We love pleasure. Pleasure in our body from a sensual point of view, from a sexual point of view. Orgasms and touch and connections and intimacy, all brilliant. Pleasure in the sense of our food and the sensations that we have in our mouth, gorgeous. Pleasure in achieving and getting things that we want in our life, all fantastic. This isn't a podcast about you stopping having pleasure. It's about understanding that pleasure and happiness are not the same thing. They are far from being the same thing. Pleasure is something that is connected to a sensation within us, right? It's our taste, it's our touch, it's our smell. It's what we can see, what we can hear, what we can experience. Whereas happiness is something that is cultivated within. Happiness is that feeling of peace and contentment within us that even on the days when we don't feel great, even on the days where life isn't going our way, we can still be so secure within ourselves, deep within our being, to know that the circumstances do not need to be going our way in order for us to feel happy. Have you ever heard that saying, don't let a bad day make you think that you've got a bad life? Because it's so easy for us to do that. The circumstances didn't go my way, so therefore life is shit. It's not how it works. The mind is very quick to dismiss what is great, and that's why we opened today's episode with gratitude. Because the mind is always looking for what is wrong. The untrained mind is always looking for what is wrong. What are the problems? No matter how good it is, it's looking for the next hit. And it gets a hit out of problems as much as it does out of pleasure. Because there's only a certain point when it comes to pleasure where it'll turn into pain. And you'll crave the pain. If you can have everything that you've ever wanted in your life delivered to you on a silver platter, right? All the success, all the money, all the accolades, all the achievements, the body, the pleasures, all of that. You get all of that, eventually you're going to want to get the buzz. Well, what else is there? You're sitting there going, cool, I can have all of these material things. Where's the buzz coming from? And so you're very likely to then move into hedonism beyond the line of pleasure into pain. Because then you get to feel. You get to have sensations. You're going to want to have an experience of pain because it feels like something. While we're chasing sensations, which is what pleasure is, it's a sensation. While we're chasing those sensations, there will come a time where those pleasurable sensations will not be enough, and you'll move towards painful sensations. That's what happens with addiction. You're chasing change. You still think that you're chasing pleasure, but what you're chasing is sensation. You're chasing the feeling, any feeling by that point. You want to feel something, so you chase it. Happiness, on the other hand, is cultivated within. It is built. It is nurtured. It is nourished. It is created internally. You don't get happiness, true, long-lasting fulfillment and happiness from getting things in your life, from the pleasures. Pleasures are great. Go after them. Just understand that that's what they are. They're pleasures, which means that they're temporary, which means that they're short. All of us have reached some sort of goal in our life. We've reached that goal weight. We've gotten that job. We've accomplished our dreams. We've graduated from university. We've gotten the thing that we set out to go do. And we felt good for a period of time afterwards. Oh my God, look at my car. It's so amazing. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month, maybe it's a year later. It's just a car. The real world then kicks in. You realize that it's not sustainable. But there is sustainable happiness. And one of the biggest ways that I can really encourage you to realize sustainable happiness is to fall in love with you. Is to build a relationship with yourself, which is what this podcast is all about. How do you overcome your mind, who thinks that everything sucks, so you can train it to see things that are well, things that are good, not because you're positively thinking your way, but so you can see all parts of the spectrum, not just what sucks. And how can you cultivate a relationship with yourself and your higher self? Now, when I reference a higher self, what I'm talking about here in terms of my belief system is if you use the word God, spirit, universe, all of that to me is the highest part of me, the highest part of all of us. It is our consciousness. It is the beating heart of the rhythm of life. However you want to call it, having a relationship with something that is beyond your small self, as in your identity, who that you think that you are, your mind that's always going to seek pleasure. If you can build a connection with a part of you that is beyond that small self into your bigger self, that's where true happiness will be cultivated. Because then you start to understand that the circumstances of your life do not need to go a certain way in order for you to feel peaceful. Not every day is great. If someone was to ask me, are you happy? I would say yes. Unequivocally, yes. Are you happy in life? Absolutely. If I died today, would I die happy? Yes. Do I have all the circumstances in my life that I want? No. Are there things that I'm still moving towards? Absolutely. Will that be true for the rest of my life? Definitely. Did I wake up today specifically feeling on top of the world? No. Did I want to go get it today? There are days that I do and there are days that I don't. Depending on hormones, depending on sleep cycles, depending on what I've eaten. Depending on a whole bunch of different things in my life is going to depend on whether or not my mind, my mood is going to be different. But that doesn't mean that I'm not happy. So don't let your brain convince you, to fool you, to make you think that you are unhappy when all that's happening is the circumstances of your life aren't the way you want them to be. That's not the same thing. You can have happiness when things aren't going your way. In fact, if you are relying on things going your way in order to be happy, you are forever at the mercy of things that are going to change. Life isn't always going to go your way. So if you are waiting for things to go your way in order to have happiness, you're stuffed. Cultivate it within. Practice gratitude. Practice connecting to yourself and your higher self by talking to you, by remembering who you are beyond your identity, by noticing what is good in the world, what is good in your world, what is good in you. Because this life, at best, under current scientific limitations right now, at best you maybe got 110 years. That's a long time, but that's at best. Statistically, if you're a man, it's about 79. If you're a woman, it's about 84. It's how long you've got on this planet. And I'm 40 now, so I'm about halfway through. So this is about you deciding, how do you want to spend these decades that are going to go very quickly? This time that you have here on this planet, in this incarnation as a human, whatever you believe, you are here right now as you. I'm here as Luna Gaia, you're here as you. And in a relatively short period of time, that's all going to be over. And you can spend that time chasing things externally to you, thinking that you're going to get happiness through pleasure. Go ahead. I highly encourage you to go after the things that you want in your life. But understand that what's going to give you true lasting happiness is to cultivating what's within. Of who you are, not what you have, but who are you? Who are you beyond the accolades? Who are you beyond the achievement or the money or the body? Who are you deep down beyond everything that you see outside of you? You start to answer that question within yourself, spend more time connecting to that part of yourself, and happiness will bloom. Because you're cultivating, you're nourishing it, you're dealing with the soil. You're making sure that you're setting yourself up for success in that way. Happiness is an inside job. And you build happiness by building a relationship with you. By supporting yourself through the rough times. Because they come, they will be there, no doubt. Show me someone who has never had things not go their way, and I will show you a liar. Every single person has had a bad day, a bad month, a bad year. Every single person experiences loss and failure and disappointment. You're no different. You experienced it too, and you're going to again. Can you sit by your side with yourself, giving love and kindness and compassion to the parts of you that desperately need it in those times? Because that's what's going to bring you happiness in the long term. Who are you becoming in the process of life? Are you kind? Not just to others, but to you. Because if you call yourself kind, but you're not kind to you, you are not kind. You can't have it both ways. Yeah? You're either kind or you're not. Well, I'm kind to other people, but I'm not kind to me. Okay, well, what if you were just kind to you and not to other people? Does that make you a kind person? Sometimes it makes you a kind person. But sometimes kind is not kind. So can you be kinder to yourself? Can you be, who do you want to be? Can you be kind? Can you be compassionate? Can you be honest, understanding? What are the things that drive you in your values internally? Because when the shit hits the fan, like it's going to at some point in your life, in the micro, in the small events, to the big stuff that happens in our life, how you show up to those things and how you are within your own integrity is what's going to make you happy. Not what you get. It's who you are and what you're able to give as a result of that. So my loves, spend some time with you beyond what you have or what you want. Have the pleasurable things as much as you want. Go for it and understand that happiness is not found in pleasure. Happiness is cultivated within you becoming the best version of you internally, not externally. I love you so very much. Thank you for being here on today's episode. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about these episodes? Shoot me through an email at admin@moreconfidence.com.au or send me through a voice message +61 403 981 597. Let me know your name and where you're from so I can hear what you're doing and I might give you a shout out on the podcast. If you're curious about any kind of one-on-one coaching, courses, or anything that I deliver, as well as my #1 best-selling book, please just head to my website, www.moreconfidence.com.au, or you can find me on the socials. You know where to do it. I would love for you to leave a review. If you have found this podcast episode valuable, share it with someone that you love that may be able to get some value out of it as well. But certainly leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It just means that more people get to have more access to this life-changing content. I love you so very much, and I hope you love you too. And until next time, happy self-loving. Thank you so much for listening to the More Confidence with Luna Guy podcast. I hope you feel more confident, more self-assured, and ready to go tackle the world's problems and maybe kick ass in some of your dreams. If you haven't already, I would love for you to like and subscribe, follow, and maybe leave a review so that other people know how to find this awesome podcast too. If you're wanting to sink your teeth into something even more juicy, my #1 best-selling book, Perfectly Imperfect, Your Complete Guide to Loving Yourself and Loving Your Body, is now available on all good bookstore sites, both in print, digital, and I narrated it for Audible as well. If you think that coaching or maybe one of my courses is for you, why not head to www.moreconfidence.com.au and get in touch and see if we can talk. And of course, you can find me all across the social medias. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, which is where you're probably listening now, or maybe even here on the podcast platform. Sending you big love and wishing you a beautiful day.